I'll see, here I go getting carried away. Welcome back to another beautiful evening in the bathroom. Today, just gonna do a couple little things. I think one objective is to get the last stud of this little partition wall for the water closet put in. I want to map out where the light goes up there, and I can run a wire just like this to this switch box location. Really, I'm gonna start doing some electrical here, which is a exciting new milestone. I got this vent exhaust box installed the other day, so that's ready to be connected up in the attic, and I'll do that. I've got a fan on the way that it needs to connect to, but I've got the pipe and stuff, and I'll route that up there. I'm really trying to focus on getting all the stuff in the attic done as soon as possible because the Florida heat is well on its way, and it's only going to get much worse up there. So for now, I just have a couple hours this evening. I'm going to throw this in, then I'm going to clean up in here a little bit, probably build a little shelf so I can get some of my supplies and materials that have been living in our bedroom into this space and just clean that up a little bit. So we'll see where that takes me. All right, let's do it. All right, this little shelf is going to do what I need to. Really, I should have another board across the front to really stiffen it up. I'm just going to screw it down. I think it'll be fine. If I still feel like it's too weak when I'm using it, I'll go ahead and throw another scrap in there. But for now, I'm going to conserve the lumber. Before I go mount this and fill it up with stuff, though, I'm going to put back the insulation around this area because it's going to be really hard to access once this is in here. So I was kind of procrastinating doing that because it's going to be an itchy job, but it's got to be done. So here we go.
Two weeks later.
All right, welcome back to another lovely day in the bathroom. It's a nice Friday night, and I'm going to try and put a couple hours in. Katie's been making fun of me this week because in the last couple videos, I keep saying, I'm going to do the window, but XYZ excuse. Well, I don't really have an excuse this weekend. I've just been procrastinating a little bit. And the main reason is I don't really know how this window is in here, and I don't really know how to get it out. And you know, once you take a window out of your house, you kind of got to put one back in. So the clock starts. But I've been staring at this for probably the last half hour, trying to figure it out. Basically, this brick, like there's a part of the window right here, but that is below the level of this brick out here. So I don't know what, like I thought these would be the same bricks as out there, but they're different. So I don't know if they stop and then this is a new brick or what, but not totally sure. But I think what I'm going to do is just start pulling these glass panes, and then this window is trash. So I'll probably have to just cut a couple of these and see if I can wiggle it out of here. That'll at least let me understand better the hole in which we're working with. Then I can go buy the correct blocks that'll be needed to fit this space. We'll probably have to do something very similar to what we did here, where we have an 8-inch block and then a 6-inch. So we'll probably have some 6s in here. But the first step is get this window out and then see what we're working with. And then I've got to pour. Basically, I'm going to pour a bit of a concrete ledger here to both support the window, but also just to take up all this space and gap. This was all behind the drywall, but there's not going to be drywall here anymore. It's going to be a waterproofing system with tile. And so I don't want a floating corner here for the sill. So I think the easiest thing to do is just grab a bag of Quickcrete, mix it up, and pour this solid. Plus this block specifically is cracked and is a little I don't know. I'm not going to yank on it because I think it could just pop out. So I'll probably throw some Tapcons in here and try and tie this whole thing together. But I don't know. That's my plan as of now. So enough procrastination. I guess I just got to dive in and see if I can climb out the other side. Hopefully I don't get in too deep, but I haven't found a hole I can't crawl out of yet. All right, I'm going to set you guys up. I'm going to vacuum up this a little bit and then start taking this thing out. I think I have stared at this long enough and got this figured out, at least what I'm going to do. Window actually came out remarkably easy. It was installed from the inside, and I guess that lip down here didn't go quite as deep as I thought it did. It was just kind of sitting there, so I could just pull it out from the inside like you just watched me do. So I'm still going to pour this sill here, but what I think I'm decided to do is set the block. It's 4 inches deep as the block, and I want as much of a sill on the inside of this window as possible in case you want to put a little plant or a bottle of shampoo or whatever. So I prefer the sill to be bigger on the inside than the outside. So I thought about putting it basically right where this existing window was, but I think what I've settled on is just to go back an inch. So I'm gonna come back an inch on this line, and that'll allow me to cover up all this jagged. So I'm gonna go get a scrap piece. I'm gonna clamp or screw or somehow affix kind of a board along the front edge, set an inch back from this face, and then I'm gonna get another scrap and basically partition off this front side so that I can just mix up my concrete and pour it right in this cavity, and it won't flow out that way or this way. That's the idea, at least. Well, we'll see if I make the same mistake I did over there. I need to not make it quite so tight, but I've got just about the perfect gap here. On the corners, this kind of has a bit of a brow like this. So on the corners, it's the tightest. And there I've got, if I pour this 3/4 inch sill, I'll end up with like a 1/4 inch up here, which is about as perfect as I think I'm going to get it. All right, I think I got this all formed up. I got some old caulk, just some whatever remnants of a tube I had left under there to keep the concrete from spilling too far that way. Same thing in this joint that's in this side, and then I'll just scrape it off after I'm done. Got this set nice and level. If anything, we're pitching to the outside a little bit, which is good. This is screwed on here nice and secure. I've got this little strip of foam that I'm gonna set in the top, and that's just gonna give me a little bit of a void so that the waterproofing membrane and system can kind of sit on top of that ledge. And the idea there is to have a bit more of a reveal. Like on that window, basically the glass block is so low, the drywall is gonna start to cover up the glass, but over there it's not that big of a deal because we just have the sill, or I don't know if it'll be drywall, but whatever the sill material is. Over here, I'm going to add this strip in here to kind of set this down a little bit, so if we have thicker tile or whatever, we keep that same glass block reveal. I'm not sure it's totally necessary, but I'm going to try it, and worst case scenario, I can just fill that void in with mortar later if it turns out to be a bad idea. Hopefully by the end of the weekend, we have a window that looks just like that. All right, I'm gonna go mix up that concrete. We'll see if my calibrated eye is good enough to mix up the right amount. I'm gonna guess I'm gonna mix up way too much, but that's okay. And then we'll come back in here and pour it in. right, this is how I'm leaving it for the night. And I think we got it pretty well filled. It's gonna be a little wavy and bumpy, but that's okay. I think, combination of the grinder and the mortar of the block, it'll be fine. All right, we'll catch back up tomorrow when that's all dried and start laying some block. All right, welcome back to another day in the bathroom. This beautiful, uncharacteristically gray Saturday morning. This is how I left it last night. I don't see too much evidence of bugs or anything that got in here, so this is what we're looking like. Under where I had those braces to hold the foam down, it's a little rougher as expected, but the block is going to sit right on here. This is going to be under a mortar bed. The finish really doesn't matter. As long as it's solid and relatively flat, I think we're okay. Should be plenty stable enough and sturdy to remove all these forms. We also did our favorite Saturday morning combo of Cracker Barrel and hardware store. So went and got breakfast and picked up all the block needed to build this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and, once I get this dressed up, dry fit this and make sure I have enough room and not do what I did over there. And I think this one should be a little bit better. And then we'll make a decision. I think we're waffling a little bit on adding an opening window just like that over here. I've gone back and forth a couple times. I bought it, I returned it. Now we might go back and buy it again, but one step at a time. All right, this definitely could have been better. I didn't get it vibrated kind of all the way into the corners. And on this side, I had meant to vibrate it more, but as soon as I started over here, I was so worried that it was all going to start settling too much, and then I wasn't going to have enough concrete, so I kind of stopped. That was probably a mistake. Well, definitely, I would say now, hindsight, a mistake. But all in all, I think this is going to be plenty sufficient for what it needs to do. Again, like previously, there was nothing under here, so this was just floating. So, obviously the glass block is going to be a little bit heavier, but I think there is ample support here. Really not concerned about it. It is a little bit green still, and so when I pulled this section out, this foam out, I accidentally chipped out some of this because it's still quite a bit softer than I thought. So that's less than ideal, but again, I think it'll be fine. It'll be filled with mortar. It'll be okay. This ledge also isn't quite perfect, but it's too green. I'm scared to hit it with the grinder. I think I'll just start blowing it apart. So I'm gonna wait to try and dress any of that up until this stiffens up a little bit more. I didn't consider that the caulk that I put down here is going to be strong enough to pull the paint off, so that's kind of a bummer. I figured, I'm going to have to repaint some of this stucco this color, but this is actually a slightly different color, and I wasn't going to repaint all this. So now it looks like I'm going to have to, which is okay. We can figure that out. So I think all in all, I'm going to give myself a C+. Adequate, not great, but adequate. So I don't know, it'll force me to practice not being quite such a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like this that ultimately doesn't affect the end product. She's dry fit in there. Much more of a gap up top, which is actually going to be a bit of a, I don't know, a new issue to seal on the outside and stuff, but that's fine. I'd rather that than too tight again. I do need to buzz off a little bit in this corner just to make sure I don't hit that. This will come up a little bit because they'll have spacers on the bottom. That'll pick it up like, I don't know, this 3/16 of an inch or so. So this will close slightly, but good gap on the sides. I think it looks pretty good, but I do think we're probably going to add the window right here. I really didn't want to do it because the window is 2 blocks wide and I didn't want it offset, but I realized that I can buy half blocks. So we'll probably put a half block here, then the window centered, and then another half block there. I'm going to get Katie and see what she thinks. Supervisor, time for the reveal.
It looks so good.
Yeah, not quite as genuine as I was hoping it was going to sound the second time.
No, it really does. Now I'm...
You're torn on the window?
Mm-hmm, because it looks so nice, just like all in rows there.
I'm feeling like we should do it.
There you are.
I know, I've switched. It's
Okay,
just...
we've gone opposite now. I don't know. I mean, it would be nice, like, functionally to be able to pop it open.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why this looks so different. It's the same height. It would just be one block high, right? The window.
Yeah. Yeah, we put it right here. Have a half block, window, half block. Tell us in the comments.
We're going to have already done
Should we have... It doesn't matter. You can still weigh in. Should we put a little opening window in here? Or just leave it all glass like that? That window. In the middle of that.
I think functionally I want it because I want to be able to pop it open and, you know, steam out or crisp air and whatever in the shower. But I like how this looks.
More than that.
More than that, but I feel like I will be glad to have the functionality of the window. You're feeling like we should do it?
Because I kind of agree. I mean, we're going to have a good exhaust fan right there, but it's going to suck. It needs to suck air in. So you're going to have air coming in from the bottom underneath the door to exhaust out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this opening a little bit would give fresh air to come in this way and then out the exhaust.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. You want to run back to the store for me?
Okay.
Thanks. All right, I've mixed up some fresh mortar. Tried to go a little bit drier than last time. It's supposed to hang off your trowel, so maybe still a little wet. I don't know. I'm going to try it. It feels a lot drier than I normally do it, but maybe I'm normally doing it way too wet. So I'm going to start this first course. I've been stalling a little bit. I'm just a little nervous because this is one of those points of no return. Like, if it goes horribly wrong, it could go horribly wrong. And I can't just unscrew it, you know? But I think I gotta quit stalling and just do it. So, mixed up the mortar. Yeah, let's start laying. All right, I just decided it was the mortar was still too wet, so went and dried it up a little bit. We're gonna try again. I spared you all that time of me fiddling around trying to get this all in the right spot. I ended up cutting a couple plugs here just to help this window hold its shape. It's a bit flimsy, so when I was setting things on here and wedging stuff around, it was moving on me. So I've got kind of a plug on both sides just to support this shape. I still had some issues. This one ended up tilting in on me a little bit. I don't know if my sill wasn't perfectly level front back. I don't know. I didn't even check it. So that could be what happened. So to account for that, I ended up driving in shims under each block to help pull this side up and leave the opposing side where it was, and that tilted the whole unit out a little bit. It's still not perfect, but it's good enough. I'm just letting things harden up before I can start plucking these guys off and really washing it up. All this stuff should come off no problem. I'll probably give it another couple hours. I'm tempted to go at it right now, to be honest, and I might just do that. Let's see what this does. We'll see. Here I go, getting carried away. Yeah, well, I'm not going to do more than that. I'll let it clean it up once it dries. That's the other thing, I guess. I like that window in the middle. I'm really kicking myself. I should have done that over there and shifted this window over a half block and made it look like this. But it's in there now, so I'll just have to live with it. I'm not taking it out. And I think I've decided on a couple things I'm going to do next. I want to get the exterior outlet, get the wire pulled to it, and pull that over to a central junction box. I decided I'm going to install a big junction box just like this down under the floor system over here. And that's going to take the power that is going to feed this bathroom off of that outlet like we've talked about. And then this box will then feed the exterior outlet and then all that other electrical routing in this room. And I'm doing that because if for whatever reason, like this wire is tied into other stuff or something's wrong with the electrical, I don't want all of that to be buried in this wall, and instead it'll be accessible from the crawl space if you ever had to pull like a new wire to this. Like we're thinking about maybe putting our well pump over here, and so if I decide to pull that well pump here and I want to change some of the wiring for this outlet, I want to have this box accessible. So long story long, I'm gonna finish this wiring over to this box. We'll see what we got after that. All right, I got that outlet in, the wire run. It's just loose under here for now, but I got it stapled up to the underside, so it's nice and supported and fixed. I'm struggling with order of operations again. As always, I'm like, want to do electrical, but I think the next thing I should do is plumbing supply, because the electrical is more flexible in positioning and whatnot than the pipe is. So I think I'm going to start routing some of this plumbing. To do that, I think the easiest way is going to be to lift this sheet also. So I need to clear this stuff off of here, pick both these sheets up, and then start running some plumbing. All right, while I have these sheets up, I decided to go ahead and cut the rest of the blocking that needs to go in here to accommodate my little sliver. So I'm gonna go ahead and install these, put these sheets back down, and turn my attention back to that window. All right, the instructions say to only wait an hour before starting to clean this up. I've waited quite a bit longer than that, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave these shims in tonight, I think, just to let it firm up a little bit more. It's still a little soft. I'm gonna go ahead and twist these guys off and then just make sure all the mortar is underneath the top surface here, so that when I come back with the second coat of mortar tomorrow, it's all, nothing sticking out too far. All right, I think that looks decent. Still very low, like in most of these joints, but I'll come back and do a second coat over the whole thing. It's not really what the instructions say to do, but that's what I found worked for me on the other window, so that's what I'm gonna keep doing. So I'm gonna go to the other side and do the same thing, but it's dark out there, so I'm not gonna take you guys with me. And I think that's where I'm gonna leave it for today.